eavesdropping on the Kennicott family and their friends at an afternoon tea. The program will be in first person, so the individuals are taking on the actual characters. And after the program, we have a special tour of the home available. There are quilts in the other room to view, and so please stick around. There are other activities. Today at the tea, there will also be a very special guest, but we'll save that as a surprise. He's not arrived yet, that he'll be coming. So with that, I'd like to introduce to you Mrs. Mary.
Hello and welcome, guests. Please let me welcome our guests who traveled oh so far from the south. I'd like to welcome Miss Helen Wilwer and Miss Henrietta Morgan Duke, who've come to us after a long and arduous journey. So welcome to our table. We're happy to be here. It's a happy occasion and also a sad occasion, as my husband, the old doctor, died about a month ago. But we're happy to have had all our children join us, and particularly my son Robert, who's come all the way from Washington, D.C. to be with us. So welcome, Holman. We're glad you're here. I will, and we certainly will. So I'd like to introduce everybody that's here, if I may. I'd like to introduce one of my closest friends, Mrs. Hezekiah Geer, who travels all the way from Galena to be here. And I'd like to next welcome this young lady who's come from Galena as well. So welcome to our table.
My granddaughter.
Oh. And this is my daughter-in-law, Miss Delia Boyden, who's now Delia Kennicott, who married my oldest son, Charlie. So welcome. And then I have my two beautiful daughters. I've got Cora Kennicott. Oh, I'm sorry. Cora's just been married, so she's Cora Redfield now.
Married woman now, Mama.
And my daughter Alice Riley, and Alice has just had a baby. So may we hear a little bit about your journey, Robert? Robert's come from a very long way before he got to Washington.
Well, I just came from Washington. It was nice at the Smithsonian. Professor Baird, there, as you know, it's been a major influence to me. I do collecting of different animals and things. I'm a naturalist. And I was just cataloging some of my collection for my recent trip where I went to Russo, America. It's a very cold place, and if you've ever been in the cold weather, there's something that's interesting that happens actually when it's 40 below and you're breathing. Your breath turns into like a mist, and after a few moments it almost sounds like snow falling. And when I first had this phenomenon, it was kind of interesting. I kept looking around to see where the snow was coming from, but it's just from your breath in the cold weather. So I spent a long time up there, actually, about 3 years that I've been up there. So it's actually very interesting. It's a fun place. A lot of people think it's all desolate, but it's not. There's many different animals that are out there, especially deer and other fur-bearing animals.
The weather sounds very difficult to endure.
Oh, you get used to it.
How are you dressed to keep yourself warm and such?
Well, actually, Alice likes when I wear things like this because it looks like I'm doing my work that I do. This is a Voyager's outfit that I'm wearing. And you actually, a lot of people think that you might want to be bundled up all nice and warm. Well, you want to bundle up, but you want loose clothing, because if you constrict any of the circulation of the blood, it can cause frostbite and things like that.
And Robert got a sewing machine for my girls so that they can make clothes for Robert when he's on his travels. So I don't think the girls appreciate that gift as much as, because they're doing so much sewing right now.
Well, Mother, we have tried to teach you how to use the sewing machine, but you always insist on doing hand sewing only. You can't get used to the machine, but despite the lessons we've taught you. But Cora and I have been making a lot of our outfits on the sewing machine.
Oh, it's
she just made this dress.
I love it.
And it sits in the dining room and the girls work on it. Very nice.
I'm glad you know of use.
The best present you ever sent home.
Yes, thank you for that. Well, thanks for that.
You're going to make baby clothes now soon, too.
Yes, well, I've gotten quite a few of some baby shower gifts, and it's been very nice to have all my friends help out when I had Frank Jr. So he's actually with his grandmother on Frank's side this weekend.
Well, my son Amasa is serving in the Civil War, and he's serving with the 37th Illinois. And everything so far is so good, so we're hoping that he'll remain safe during the course of the war.
It's difficult times for mothers to have their boys.
Exactly.
It's terrible conflict.
I've got some nephews. I've got a nephew at a battlefield called Antietam or Bull Run, so we're
Yes,
praying.
Walter.
So we're praying for him that he'll get through the war safe and sound. And Amasa wrote a letter telling us how he took a sword off a dead Confederate soldier. So he said he'd bring that sword home after the war. So tell us, can you speak a little bit about your new husband, Mr. Riley?
Frank is doing very well right now. He's actually with his mother this weekend too. I got away for a little bit. It's nice to have one's own time to do, to visit one's family. But he's doing very well, and he loves the baby, and we want to have as many children as we can. We think.
What's the baby's name?
Frank Jr.
Oh, Frank
Jr.
Jr.
So
Have you
Well,
planned for
after
the christening yet?
what?
Have you planned for the christening yet?
Yes, it should be in about a few more weeks.
Now, I don't want to be rude, but Mama, we have a guest.
Oh. Well, let me rise and greet the guest.
Mr. Clement?
Samuel, please, Mr. Clemens would be reserved for my father. Such a lovely gathering.
Well, Mr. Clemens, may I greet you? My name is Mary Kennicott. I am the mistress of this house,
Nice to meet
and I'd like to welcome you to our home. And if I may, I'd like to introduce our guest to you
you.
today.
Wonderful.
This is one of my closest friends, Mrs. Hezekiah Gear from Galena, Illinois.